Good evening and welcome to Left Coast's annual fundraising gala. This year, since we can't all safely be in one place, we're broadcasting the event from the musicians' homes across the San Francisco Bay Area. We're really happy you can be with us. The program tonight is curated by Kurt Rohde. He is composer, violist, and the founding artistic director of Left Coast. And he's chosen a bunch of music, pieces he's written, pieces he's performed, and even music he's commissioned as part of the Kurt Rohde Commissioning Fund. So it'll be a really exciting program, and it's really what Left Coast is all about. Fantastic works from the whole spectrum of chamber music, new and old, all different kinds of styles. So I really hope that you'll enjoy the show. One of the big purposes of tonight is to raise funds to support Left Coast's mission and also to make it possible for us to present our season next year. We have a season of subscription concerts, educational programs, newly commissioned works, and outreach events, and really exciting things planned. 7 new works we've commissioned from composers from all over. Luciano Berio's folk songs we're planning to perform, also Strauss's Metamorphosen for septet, and a bunch of other really great new music. So if you can help support this effort tonight, that would be great. To do so, you go to leftcoastensemble.org, or you can follow the link that'll show up on the screen periodically. Or if none of that works, get in touch with our managing director, Susan Teamy, and she can help you out. For the gala, we have thank you gifts for our donors at different levels, and you can go to the page and look at those. The one I'm most excited about is the one that involves live music, finally. This is our garden serenade, and you have Left Coast players, either a solo or a duo, who will come play in your garden or in your yard, and you can listen from your porch or your window or your veranda. Anyway, at a safe distance, but where you can really still have the experience of live music. And these short concerts have a bunch of varied programs. Stacy Polenka has put together several programs of mixed new and old flute music. There's a program of all new solo cello works. Ravel's Sonata for Violin and Piano, not violin and piano, we can't get a piano in your garden. Ravel's Sonata for Violin and Cello, or a lot of solo Bach. I'm working on Bach Chaconne, so that'll be ready about June 1st, if you wanted me to come play that for your garden. Anyway, we'd love it if you can support us at any level you can. We welcome gifts from $5 to $50,000. Any way you can help us out, we really appreciate the support. I'm going to kick off the fundraiser with a contribution of $2,000. Left Coast means so much to me, and I really want to support the organization in this tumultuous time and make sure that it thrives. So I invite you to join me, and above all, to enjoy the music. And I'm going to send you on over to Kurt Rohde now for the rest of the program. Except one more thing is, even though we're not all in the same room, if you want to ask a question of the musicians or composers, or just say hi, please, you can talk in the comments section on the side of the screen, and we'd love to hear from you. Okay, thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, Anna, and welcome everyone to our virtual gala. We're so thrilled you're able to join us this evening. I think we have a lot of really wonderful music to share with you, and I'm really excited to share work by composers whose music and whose vision is something that I find to be exciting and really important in today's day and age. I am really excited to talk about some pieces that I've written for Left Coast over the years, and I'm going to begin by talking about a piece that I wrote a couple years ago called Power is Everywhere. This is a piece that I wrote specifically for Left Coast and with the actual musicians, not only in mind, but I actually worked with the musicians to help create the piece. It's written for Eric on piano, Stacy on flute, Tanya on cello, and Nikki as the singer. And the piece takes some texts, an assembly of texts by the French philosopher, social theorist, and historian Foucault, And I really was drawn to Foucault a number of years ago when I took a philosophy class in graduate school. And the reason I was so drawn to him was because I could actually understand what he was saying in his writing. It was pretty clear, and it was very direct. Foucault's really well known for writing about the idea of power and how it exists in our institutions and in our society, and how that behavior of power is exerted by institutions and by individuals, and that dynamic back and forth, and how the idea of power being exerted as a way to control and as something that you allow to control you is this very very interesting interaction. And I thought it would be interesting to take some of these writings by Foucault and set them within mind the idea of the ensemble as being an institution, as being its own social entity that has its own power dynamics. So throughout the course of this 22-minute piece, the instrumentalists and the singers start to interact in very strange ways, so that the singers start to take over the group and the instrumentalists start playing each other's instruments, and they actually start playing instruments that aren't instruments as if they were instruments. And there's this really strange, confusion of what is powerful and what is being controlled and who's controlling what, and is the object controlling the person, or is the person controlling the object? We're only going to be listening to the beginning of the piece, and I think it's really important to just note that the singer, Nikki, is actually going to be tuning herself before she actually begins the piece, because she doesn't really necessarily know if she has the power within herself to sing the right pitch. So she has her own set of tuning forks that she uses throughout the work to not only tune herself, but to tune the entire ensemble. So here is the beginning of a piece I wrote for Left Coast a couple years ago called Power is Everywhere.
him belong to this production. Discourses are not once and for all subservient to power. Or raised up. Against it, we must. We must make.
The next piece we're going to play for you is the finale from Claude Debussy's Trio Sonata for flute, viola, and harp. I adore this piece. It's actually one of my very favorite pieces of all time. This piece was written towards the end of Claude Debussy's life. It is the third in a set of sonatas. There's the violin sonata, the cello sonata, and then this trio sonata. And this was actually to be a complete set of 6 sonatas for diverse instruments. This is the last one that he completed before he died. The piece itself is really odd, flute, viola, and harp. Why would you put those instruments together? I mean, they don't belong together. But after hearing the piece, you realize that these instruments need to be together. And this music could only be written because of this particular combination of instruments. It's really an innovative and sort of forward-thinking piece of music. One of the reasons I really like it is that it covers a really wide range of emotional and expressive and sort of innovative techniques for the instruments and how they're used in combination. There's a whole set of colors and timbres and just sort of sonic manifestations that really are only found in this piece. There was no piece like it prior to its existence. There's no precedent for this particular trio sonata. So I hope you enjoy it as much as we do, and here is the finale from Debussy's sonata for flute, viola, and harp.
Thank you, Kurt. Hi, I'm Stacy Palinka. I'm the flutist with Left Coast Chamber Ensemble, and I'm here to say a few words about our Music from the Inside Out program. This particular educational outreach program has been in place since 2011, and during that time, we've worked with students at Oakland School of the Arts, the San Francisco Community Music Center, the International High School in San Francisco, and the John Adams Young Composers Program at the Crowden Center in Berkeley. Each year we choose a small subset of the ensemble to visit with students and do a composition workshop. So this year, for instance, Leighton and I are joined by pianist Allegra Chapman, and we're visiting Oakland School of the Arts. We chose a theme this year, nature and climate change, and on our first visit, we performed George Crumb's Voice of the Whale for the students. Then we each gave an introduction to our instrument, how to write for the instrument, what works well, what doesn't work so well on each instrument. And we also used the crumb to describe some really fun extended techniques that you can do on each instrument. So the students proceeded to write pieces for us, and then we returned over the course of the semester and played the pieces for the students. And we gave them feedback, they gave each other feedback. The whole class was listening to all of the compositions each time. And they've been refining and developing these pieces over the course of the semester. Unfortunately, due to the quarantine, our planned final concert at Mills was postponed until the fall, but we're looking forward to performing and completing the program then. Each time we do this program, we celebrate with a final performance. And the great thing about the program is that most of these students are not composition students. And we're not composition teachers. We are instrumentalists who have a lot of experience with contemporary music, and we're working with them directly in a really interactive way. For the people who are not composers, who are performers, they end up feeling a different relationship with the music, if they're looking at the music from the inside out, hence the name of the program. We're reaching students from a broad spectrum of demographics, and we're playing pieces of a broad range of styles too. We've played really cool arrangements of Led Zeppelin songs. We've played goth musical theater with a student singing along. At Oakland School of the Arts, several of the students have written themselves into the composition, so they perform alongside us in their compositions. And several of the pieces we've programmed on our regular subscription concerts as well. So there's interaction at many different levels. So we're very enthusiastic about this program. I'm here to ask you to support the program. If you wouldn't mind clicking here and donating in support of this program and in support of educating musicians of the future, you have our thanks and appreciation. Thank you very much.
At Left Coast, it's really important for us to engage and be part of the community. A lot of the work that we do really is about reaching out and inviting in those who otherwise would not have access to the type of work that we do. A couple of years ago, I realized that it was probably important for us to try to seek out young composers whose work that we thought was important and deserved some type of support and attention. And this was a project that I thought might never get off the ground, but eventually I just decided it was time to make it happen. So with a little bit of money, I was able to start a commission fund. And the idea behind this commission fund is to find work by people that we've not really had a relationship with before, and to start to create a relationship, create a work together, and then maybe have a longer relationship moving into the future. And the first composer that we asked to work with us was Jennifer Jolly. And Jennifer's a person whose work I had heard of for a number of years, but I had actually not heard the actual work. And finally, when I did hear the work, I was really, really blown away. I think that her music has a lot of the qualities that many composers really sort of want. It's really mutable and very expressive, but sort of can easily slip through different types of musical worlds without your even noticing it. And also her music has sort of this really deceptive, nostalgic and touching quality that might come across in some instances being somewhat humorous initially, but then sort of turns a corner. And in turning that corner, it becomes sort of deeply felt and very meaningful. So she wrote us this great piano trio, and I'm really thrilled that we're able to share it with you tonight. So Jennifer's now going to say a few words about her piece.
Thanks, Kurt. Hello, everyone, and thanks for inviting me here. My name is Jennifer Jolly. I am a composer, and I currently live in Lubbock, Texas. So for all of you Californians, since I was one, that's in West Texas. I'm here because the Kurt Rohde Emerging Composer Fund commissioned my piece, The Lives and Opinions of Literary Cats, that I wrote as part of the Brahms Through the Looking Glass concert. When I was given that theme, I was like, okay, I guess we're talking about Alice in Wonderland here. So looked up the book Through the Looking Glass and realized the first scene had a few rambunctious kittens. I'm like, okay, that could be something. I don't know if I'm gonna go with that. And then I just decided to do more research on the Brahms B major piano trio, which is what the concert was based around. Turns out that Brahms wrote a previous version of it, and during that time he decided to not go by Johannes Brahms, but by Johannes Presler, because Brahms is really weird, let's just say. So he went around insisting that his friends call him Johannes Presler. He'd write letters like this. I'm like, who on earth is Johannes Presler? Well, Johannes Presler was a fictitious composer character, which is found in the book, The Life and Opinion of the Tomcat Myrrh. So then I realized, my God, I am writing a cat piece. I realize this is actually a trope for composers, so I have good company there. But anyways, that is the basis of my piano trio, which is like, what if Brahms was like the Tomcat Myrrh, or was a really rambunctious cat? Or maybe I just wrote this piece for cats, and I'm saying this because a couple of times, I think during rehearsal, like the cats were kind of coming out. I think it was at Anna's house, and I don't remember if it was like Anna, it was probably Anna's cat, but the cat seemed really interested in my work. So anyways, I just want to thank you all for attending this virtual gala, and again, thanks again for inviting me. Just one last thing as to why contemporary music is important to me. And you know, in this time of solitude kind of and pandemic, I realized that, you know, we as creators just need to create. That's how we are. And I'm a composer, and I choose to express myself and tell my narrative through my music. And to me, that is what's most important in life. So thank you again, and please enjoy The Lives and Opinions of Literary Cats.
Another composer whose work we've really become drawn to is a composer named Chris Castro, who, in full disclosure, was a student of mine at UC Davis and now has received his PhD and is teaching young musicians in the area. He's a really sort of extraordinary musical mind. He's someone that has a lot of musical knowledge in a number of different musical realms, and his ability to synthesize and recall that knowledge is always astounding to me. He's got a voracious appetite musically, and I think that he's one of these people that has a very distinctive musical voice and vision, and that's something that, you know, you can't teach. Someone either has it or they don't. He wrote us a really great piece for two pianos as a response to Messiaen's work, The Vision of the Amen. And this piece that he wrote, called 4-1, is really emblematic of his work. It's deeply rigorous and incredibly restrained and very controlled, and also profoundly expressive. There's always this feeling that it's just about to sort of explode forth with intensity, and it often does at the right time, so that you feel like, now I understand what this was all about. We're really thrilled that we were able to work with Chris and have this piece be premiered by our pianist Eric Zivian and guest pianist Sarah Cahill. So maybe Chris will say a few words about the piece before we play it.
Hello, and thanks, Kurt. My name is Chris Castro. I'm here in Davis, California, and I'm excited to introduce my piece 4-1. That was commissioned through the Kurt Rohde Emerging Composer Fund and written for the Left Coast Chamber Ensemble. It was written for the great pianists Sarah Cahill and Eric Zivian, and it was completed at the end of 2017. The commission was to be a companion piece to Olivier Messiaen's Visions of Amen. And so I thought a lot about the fact that it was going to be a companion piece to that. And I really love Messiaen's music, but for me it can sometimes be overwhelmingly beautiful and cacophonous. And I think because of that, I struggle, and what a complaint to have, it's too beautiful. I struggle with these moments because they're so intense, but in Visions of Amen, there are these incredible moments of clarity that are often very simple musical devices that, for me, present the music from becoming overly harsh or sometimes even overly saccharine. Some of these very simple devices would be a repeating tone, do, 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 or just very, very, very sparse piano writing, bare octaves. So I have picked very specific moments of clarity from the Visions of Amen to very loosely structure my piece. There's such base, B-A-S-E, musical material that they're not really quotes, but I did extract these moments from the Messiaen score. Globally, Messiaen, of course, said that he, in his piece, tried to express the varied, quote, tried to express the varied riches of Amen, end quote. So I also thought a lot about that for my own score, and for me, the word Amen has long been associated with a certain harmonic cadence. Technical term would be a plagal cadence, or for the music theory people out there, a 4-1 cadence. Throughout the entire work, this cadence is hinted at and can most clearly be heard in the passage leading up to the climax of the piece. It was really great to work with Sarah and Eric. I mean, they're phenomenal musicians. And I want to thank Left Coast, I want to thank the performers, and I want to thank Kurt Rohde, who's been a mentor for me. And I really hope you enjoy the work. Thank you.
Thanks for the wonderful music, Jennifer and Chris. I have to say that one of the reasons that Left Coast has flourished for all these years is that from the very beginning, we've had a committed and talented and generous board of directors. It's a pleasure to introduce Tony Cascardi, our current president. His message will only be an audio message because the video is not working at this moment.
Hello to everyone at the Left Coast Chamber Ensemble Virtual Gala. My name is Tony Cascardi, and I have the privilege of serving as the president of the Left Coast Board. Like all of you, I wish we could be together in person, but we are certainly together in spirit to celebrate everything the Left Coast does by bringing together classical and contemporary music, even during this time of crisis. I'm so pleased that we were able to live stream our Fairy Tale Pieces performance from the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, even without a live audience, and that the players are now bringing you the Left Coast at Home series on a regular basis. I hope everyone watching will take part in the fundraising effort that is central to the gala, and I also want you to know that the Left Coast has been doing the right thing during the shutdown by making sure that the financial commitments we have to our musicians are honored. But we can't keep doing any of this without your help, so please consider making a donation, maybe a donation that would qualify for one of the wonderful Left Coast to Go thank you options. That would certainly be something really special to look forward to once the current restrictions are eased. However you decide to participate, remember that you are central to our mission and that together we will sustain classical and contemporary music now and well into the future. Thanks for listening and enjoy the rest of the gala.
Thanks, Tony. Now we're going to listen to an excerpt from my opera, Death with Interruptions, which I wrote in 2015. I wrote this with Tom LaCour, the historian at UC Berkeley, who adapted the last third of the novel by Jose Saramago into a libretto. This portion of the novella basically deals with death, an entity who has decided to stop killing people in an unnamed Iberian country. And in doing so, a lot of things go wrong in that country. Society begins to fall apart because death is the great balancing act for society. And at this portion in the novel, Death decides that she will begin killing again, but she's going to have a whole set of new rules in place in order to make that happen. One of the rules is that she sends out letters, and these letters go to everyone who is about to die, and they have a week to put their affairs in order. But one of the letters gets returned to Death. It doesn't go through to the recipient, and the Postal Service fails. That person who is supposed to get this letter is a cellist. He's sort of an unremarkable person, but because he doesn't get the letter, he becomes remarkable because he basically lives past when he's supposed to die. So Death pays him a visit. In her spectral form, she is now observing a human up close, which is something she's never done. And this particular human happens to be a musician. And through her interactions with this man, the closest she's ever been to another person, or to a human person, not a death person, she begins to change. And she starts to be changed and altered and transformed by the actual music as well. So she's visiting him in this scene, and she's decided she's going to break her own rules and allow him to live a little bit longer than he should have lived. And in doing that, she's sort of trying to convince herself that she's giving him one more chance, one last chance, when in fact she's giving herself the chance to perhaps grow and transform and feel like a human feels, and maybe even fall in love like a human falls in love.
You look very pretty. dirty-do. What's that? His side. The tricky bit. He's not going to have time to get it right. The cellist's life had seduced death. Death sets out to seduce her cellist.
I'll leave them for you on your desk. Go on, admit it.
That depends on the type of man you hope to seduce. The side has hit the nail on the head.
Something that Left Coast has been doing over the past several years is producing new opera, specifically new chamber operas that are very portable and sort of can be done almost anywhere with very little production cost and very few technical needs. We have an opera project that's in the works with composer Anthony Green. He's someone who I actually met on Twitter because I do Twitter, and I like to do it so that I can be in touch with composers and their works and new music organizations all over the world. It's actually a really easy way to connect and sort of discover what's going on and tune in. And I met him online on Twitter, and I was really interested in his story and the type of work that he is making, and we have a project that's in the works, and Anthony's going to talk a little bit about it. And so stay tuned and listen to what he has to say. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Anthony Green, and I'm a composer, a performer, and a social justice artist. I'm coming to you from Leiden, which is a small town in the Netherlands. It's home to the first university of this country, and it has around 122,000 people, one of whom is me. I'm so excited to be working with the Left Coast Chamber Ensemble in developing a new chamber opera. I'll be collaborating with a fantastic Bay Area-based writer named Mark Lebowski. We met during a residency at the Virginia Center for the Creative Arts, and one night, for an artist share, he read some pages from his current project at that time, and I was just blown away. I knew that I had to collaborate with him in some capacity. We've been talking a little bit about this new project, and while we haven't quite yet nailed down the details, we do know that we want to use as its foundation queer culture and its current obsession with dating apps. There have been so many situations that have come about from the use of these apps. Some tragic situations, as well as some hilarious situations. Hopefully we can comment upon these situations, as well as perhaps drop some prophecy about the use of dating apps within queer culture. While Mark and I aren't perhaps the youngest composer and writer pair out there, we do feel that it's necessary and vital for organizations today to be supporting young voices. It's the young composers, the young writers, and the young creatives who have their fingers on the pulse of new trends, new lingo, and new social and socioeconomic and political developments that are happening at the moment. Now, we know that opera is slowly shedding its reputation of being conservative, but it'll be the young composers and the young writers that will completely keep this art form exciting, fresh, and socially relevant. That's why it's so important to be supporting these young artists today. So with that, once again, I'm so grateful for this opportunity, and keep up with Left Coast Chamber Ensemble as this project develops. See you around!
Thanks everybody for coming to our online gala. Thanks for your generosity, and thanks for supporting Left Coast. I really appreciate it. We have one more subscription concert left this year. We'll be live streaming on June 1st the program Sheltering Music from the San Francisco Conservatory. Now, Kurt has one last piece for you. Good night and thank you.
One Wing is a piece I wrote for my friends Eric Zivian and Anna Presler. This duo for violin and piano was supposed to be a response to Messiaen's Quartet for the End of Time. And I soon realized that I was neither equipped nor really all that interested in responding to one of the most important pieces of the 20th century. So that idea went out the window very fast. I had to write a piece in response to something by Messiaen, and I realized that the opera St. Francis of Assisi, which San Francisco Opera did in 2002, was a piece that I really have thought a lot about over the years. It's really stuck with me. I saw it twice when San Francisco Opera did that production, and I was really intrigued just by this piece that didn't really go anywhere. You know, it's 5 hours, it's pretty singular, and it's a little bit forbidding. It doesn't really let you in. You don't really feel connected, or let me put it this way, I never felt connected with the transformation that St. Francis was undergoing on stage. And in a lot of ways, the music sort of felt very separated and sort of apart from what I was experiencing. It was doing its thing on stage, and I was observing it. The only time I really felt like I was brought into the narrative and was close to understanding the story was when the angel appeared on stage. Now, the music that Messiaen writes for the angel in St. Francis of Assisi is very, very specific to the angel. It's super simple, it's very beautiful, it also has its own particular type of melodic and harmonic and orchestral color. And it's actually deeply moving at times. I clearly remember the first time I heard it, heard when the angel came on stage, and the angel music, as it's known, and it was so moving. It was just so different from anything else that had happened up until that point, and it actually brought me to tears. So this particular piece sort of takes the idea of that simple, very beautiful, hovering quality that an angel can actually stand for. In the production by San Francisco Opera, the angel actually has one wing. And I thought that was a really interesting production choice because the angel is an otherworldly creature, and we really imagine what an angel looks like, but we don't know. I mean, we've never really seen an angel. We do know that an angel, in theory, transits between our world and another realm. And so an angel can have as many or as few wings as they might need to do that transit. They are a creature that connects two different worlds. And so in my piece, I thought of the violin and the piano as sort of being two different worlds, hovering very closely next to one another, but never really being together. In all honesty, there's a really complicated rhythmic scheme that's operating inside the piece. And it's not till the very end of the piece that the violin and the piano meet and form this moment of unity. And it's for that period of time that they are now one voice, and they are moving together, gliding together, with one wing carrying them forward. And that's sort of how I thought about the piece. I hope you enjoy the beginning portion of One Wing.